Today we are joined by
Maz Ullah.
fantastic. Okay, so for those of our listeners and viewers who haven't seen any of your things or been interacted with any of your social media before, do you want to introduce who you are, what you do, what you're about?
Yeah, so I'm a content creator, work mainly based in fashion, a little bit of beauty and lifestyle. Also run a page called Space Muslim Wellness as well, which is just kind of like an online community for Muslims, also non-Muslims to learn more about Islam and stuff like that.
Sick. Okay. I have to say, by the way, I didn't know that we were doing an interview with you. And then I think I just saw it on basically I stay logged out of the Maz Masala account because I can't handle people bad comments. I can't handle it. So I stay logged out.
Do you get bad comments?
We'll talk about that. When we talk about women or just generally just being online, we'll talk about it. But I stay logged out.
That's crazy.
Because my reaction is just to ask people what's your address when people start doing stuff, right? So I said on that. So I just went on it one day, I can't remember for what, and I saw we were messaging you for an interview, and I was like, oh my God, what? Because I've been watching your vlogs for a lot. I'm a vlog girl. I love vlogs.
Oh, thank
I'm a
you.
YouTube girl. I love YouTube. So I've been watching your vlogs. I've been following you on Instagram because you're from Manchester originally, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and we love to support Mancunians on this show. So I've been watching your stuff.
I need to be more consistent with it. I'm so lazy.
No, but I love it. Whenever I watch a vlog, it's you know what it is. You're a very comfort vlog. You know that everyone has their
thank you
vloggers.
Yeah,
you're very much a comfort vlogger. But enough about what I think of you. How did you get into this space and how did you get into kind of building your social media following, deciding that that's what you want to do, going into YouTube?
It's probably 2015 where I started I want to say take Instagram seriously, but I wasn't making any money. So it was more so a creative outlet. And I had a color scheme. So all my pictures would be blue, purple, then yellow, and then everybody copied, and then I stopped.
Okay.
So I built up quite a big following from that, but I didn't really know that you could make money. And then I stopped posting for 2 years, so I lost quite a lot of my following. And then I built it back up by just posting outfits and stuff, because that's what I was interested in really, and that's what I like seeing. And then an agency reached out to me and were like, oh, we'd love to represent you. And that's probably 3 years ago now, and that's when I first started to make money from it. And then I also started to watch YouTubers quite late. Everyone was on to all these huge YouTubers, like Zoella or whoever, and I wasn't really interested. I didn't really understand the concept of a vlog. But then I think I stumbled across Emma Chamberlain, and obviously she's the biggest, the most relatable, and especially back then, she just make the most random videos, and I was just about nothing, and I just watched them. Yeah. You've never watched her?
I've never watched it. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even know who she was until she come on some award show and she was wearing some Indian jewels or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. That's the only time I knew who she was.
Yeah. Well, I just love her. Yeah, massive. So then I think that kind of inspired me to check out more YouTubers, and then I started to just be obsessed with Korean YouTubers, and I'd watch Michelle Choi. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I watched this one Korean YouTuber, and she's on a weight loss journey, and every day she just posts what she eats.
What's her name?
It's in Korean. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know. Yeah, they're great.
But she's my comfort YouTuber, and then I was just I've thought about it, and I was every single video is essentially the same thing. She's literally waking up, getting ready, doing a few things, and then everyone's interested. So I was I really want to do this. So I started it in Paris because I was having a really time in Paris. I had nothing to do. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I just really enjoyed like making vlogs and editing them. And I promise you, because I just believe in myself so much, I thought, okay, I'm gonna upload this vlog and I will have 1 million subscribers by the end of this year.
Yeah, but
Because
I back
people
that
would
though. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be the one to tell you you're delusional. I back that because why would you not?
I'm not delusional. It
You're
will
not.
happen.
You're
People
not.
are obviously, they're just sleeping on me at the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I will have that. And I
Yeah.
just really believed that. And I think that I was making vlogs like consistently every single week and I loved it. And I think that because obviously that didn't happen immediately, it
Not yet,
kind of like,
anyway. It's not
not
happening
yet,
yet.
but it will happen.
Exactly,
Um,
inshallah, of
it,
course.
it made me like kind of not put effort into it. But when I think about what I enjoy doing the most and what I enjoy like sharing with people, it is definitely YouTube, like over like Instagram or TikTok, because I feel like you don't really get to see like who I am and stuff like that through Instagram. So yeah, so I need to be more consistent with that in 2023.
There must be some kind of like psychology to the study of why people love watching other people just their day in their
Do
life.
nothing. I know, it's so
Going shop,
weird.
going shop,
Yeah.
like doing a workout, cooking food. There must be some psychology behind it. But okay,
Yeah.
so that's how you got into YouTube, and then I'm assuming when you were starting, you were doing a day job. Like, at what point did that become your like actual your career?
So I signed with my agency like 3 years ago. For the first year, it was like kind of hard because I was living in Paris. My agency's based in London. So like any events, any like brand deals, it was just harder to do that whilst I was in Paris. So I still was working whilst I was over there. And then now it's probably been like maybe a year and a half where like that's been my main source of income.
Okay,
Yeah.
and are you happy in this space? Like, do you feel comfortable?
I feel like now because it's so saturated, there's like everybody is doing it. It's harder to like grow and it's harder to like connect with people because it's just available everywhere. And obviously, like the younger generations are really good at putting across content, they're really great at making it. So I think that it is challenging at times. But yeah, I do really enjoy it. I think also another thing is that like obviously like being brown and being in the space, I see like people who like are white do so much better.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a whole thing, right? Like, there's really a whole politics of like influencers and the kind of resources and brand sponsorships and money that white creators get as opposed to like black and brown
Yeah,
creators, right?
I don't know if you know Victoria Paris she's like quite big on TikTok. I'm not a fan of her, but she actually made a TikTok that was like really eye-opening. Well, it's kind of like you don't really think about it and then you're like, wow. But she gets so much gifting from brands,
Yeah.
and all of those brands, all the PR teams are white, so when they gift someone they see someone who like looks like them,
Yeah.
so they'll gift them, and then all of that gifting can either be sold, you can make a profit off that, but then it also allows you to make way more content, so you're like they always have the upper hand, and there isn't many like black or brown women in the PR space.
Mhm.
So the opportunities are like way less. I see like loads of people, like loads of white people, they're not even content creators, getting gifting. And then I have like black friends, girlfriends that are do the same job as me and they don't get gifting. So it's just really bizarre. But then it's also like it's not surprising either.
No, it's not surprising at all. But have you found then, like, in terms of, obviously it's a very big world, kind of content creation, but then within that there are communities. So have you found like maybe kind of building specific communities within the content creation world has helped you combat like just the inherent discrimination?
I don't know, I feel like, I mean, a lot of my audience is young brown women.
Yeah.
But in terms of like me being in a community of like creators,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that it's like most of my creators are women of color, but I wouldn't say that it's kind of like helped in any way to like get an upper hand or anything, if that makes sense. For example, I know a lot of white creators that are friends that create content together, then they get asked to go on brand trips because they're like a group.
Yeah.
But then I also have that with my friends who also do the same job, but that obviously doesn't happen. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that
it makes a difference.
I would say, yeah, no.
Not materially anyway, like probably it makes you feel better to have people to relate
Yeah, personally, yeah. But then
not
in the job, I wouldn't say no, yeah.
Okay. You know how you were saying, obviously the industry is very saturated and it's difficult, and like it is a constant kind of like competition of like putting content out, and like now you've got to compete with the Instagram algorithm as well. How do you like, because obviously you have to market yourself as a content creator, I'm guessing you market yourself, you're the brand, right? You are your own brand.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that? How do you make sure that you're still relating to people, that your followers are still engaged? Like, how do you curate your brand essentially, and how does that evolve as the politics of Instagram change?
I think that is so hard with Instagram being the way that it is hard to like even know if your audience are still engaged. I think that it's just about realizing that people aren't really like into your like personality per se on Instagram. It's just a quick look at a picture, save it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that just by being yourself and putting out content that you like to see yourself is probably the best approach, rather than like, I remember when reels were like, they were saying like you have to make reels because that is going to boost your engagement. And I actually had a brand partnership with Instagram when reels first came out, where I had to do a reel a week for 3 months. And in the call initially you're like, wow, okay, this is going to be great for me because it's going to push people to like engage with my content. And it didn't do anything at all. I didn't really gain much of a following from it, and also it just didn't really feel natural to me to like make that content anyway. Like it felt quite unnatural. So yeah, I think that if you just do what you want to see and what you feel comfortable doing, then that's all you can do. It's, you know what I mean?
I think that is the problem with Instagram, isn't it? Like, and like content creation, is that it's such a numbers game. Like the way you have to like maintain your following is just by keep putting out content that ends up being vapid.
Yeah, but then it's also like I feel like sometimes if I post too much, then people will just be like, oh my god, her again. Like they'll just get really annoyed.
I'm not gonna lie, like I like certain content creators that I follow for no other reason than the fact that I think they're beautiful or like they've got a good style.
Yeah.
I'm fully cognizant of the fact that she's just gone and got dressed up and gone taken a photo literally just for Instagram. You know, it does end up being very rapid. So how do you like kind of maintain that fidelity to like real life? Like how do you bridge that gap between like Instagram life and real life as a content creator? Because obviously the one criticism is that it's all fake, you know.
And it is, and I think that recognizing that it is not real life and just being completely upfront about that is the only thing that you can do. Because to say that Instagram is like a true depiction of what your life is just not true. Like it is true, like sometimes the pictures that I take are just for Instagram. It's not necessary, that's not the outfit I was wearing today. I'm not really gonna post like me looking like on my Instagram because it doesn't fit the aesthetic of what I'm doing. If it was more so like mental health, like that type of content, then yeah, sure, I probably would, but my content is just fashion. So yeah, I think that like I don't think that it is real life at all. And I think that for me it's literally just like a post and go, and like I can, like my real life is very different to Instagram. And I think that's why I enjoy YouTube more, because obviously it's more real.
Yeah, you have to have like a degree of separation, I guess, right? And in that way it is very much it is very much like I have to go and make this content and take this photo and dress up in this way because that's how I make money. Like
and I think that also because some people might see that as like really like vapid and shallow, but I think that understanding that we all like to see beautiful things, like it is just a creative outlet and it is like art in some ways and for some people. And like loads of people work really hard at it, and sometimes like it is just a picture. But I think that just having an understanding of like it is someone's job, and like every job, it's not like you leave your job, you know, at 5 o'clock and then you come home and you do your life. So it's kind of like the same thing in a way.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's like the right way to look at it in terms of kind of what the criticisms are towards Instagram. I think knowing that, okay, let me not internalize this as like this is actually what someone looks like all the time, or this is actually the life that everyone's living. I'm here genuinely just because I like to see a beautiful woman, or I like
Yeah, and you just want to be inspired. Yeah, like that's all it is really. And I think you do need to have that separation, because then otherwise it's just like so messy, like how it affects your mental health. Like to think that all these people are just so beautiful all the time and like everyone's life is perfect and they just have endless amount of clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like it's obviously not real.
Yeah. Speaking of mental health, so you also said that you are kind of like the founder of an online space.
Yeah, Space Muslim Wellness.
Yeah. So how did that? Because obviously up until now you've said very much your brand is very focused on fashion, and that's kind of like it's a different space, right? So it's Islam and it's wellness, and so how did that come about?
So when I was in Paris, like I kind of like reconnected, I would say, with my faith in terms of like growing up. I didn't really like, there was no research I did for myself. It was just everything I was told. And then when I was like 26, I think that I just became like more interested in like this huge part of me that's like my identity. And I was like, I don't even really know that much about it. So I wanted to like learn more. I was connecting with more people out there, and it's crazy like how different the culture is like over there, and I guess anywhere you go, than it is here. Yeah, and I feel like in the UK it's such a judgmental space, and essentially like the idea came from like creating a space for people that is just completely, there's no judgment, because there's no, you can't, there's no one is better than anyone. We're all learning every single day. We all make mistakes, and it's completely fine to change your mind 1 minute to the next. So like how can you judge anyone? Do you know what I mean? And it's also a space for not just Muslims. I think that a big part of it is like being a Muslim person in a 9 to 5, you are constantly having to like just make yourself smaller to make other people feel comfortable. And that's just because they have no idea what Islam is. They have like, you know, from the media, like preconceptions and stuff, but they don't actually know. And that affects Muslim people, I feel, so much. It makes you feel really small. It also makes you doubt yourself and stuff. So I feel like it's also a space for people to learn what it's like in the life of their colleagues, their friends, like what you can say, what you can't say, like how to treat people. Because I feel like as Muslims, we are really overlooked in a way of like Islamophobia is not, it's just not really taken that seriously. And it's also like such small things. It's not just like huge things. It's like really small things in your day to day of people like saying, oh, you're Muslim, but you drink alcohol. It's like, you would never say that to a Christian. You would never say that to a Jewish person. Like, what makes you think it's okay? And also, you have no idea about my faith. So it's just those kinds of things that really like irk me, and I just hate them. And I just wanted to create a space where people like can actually see like the beauty and like just all of the positive things about a religion that is really beautiful, and people don't think it's beautiful when it is. It's really beautiful.
I hear that. I was smirking before just when you were saying about how in the UK they're really judgmental.
Yeah, I feel like we're our own worst enemies. Like it's so hard to like create a community of Muslims here in the UK because it's all like a competition. And I guess that is, it's the majority is South Asian, isn't it? So
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, South Asians are so militant. But I'm laughing because I'm laughing because we talk about it on the show. Like, so I'm obviously a South Asian Muslim. I'm the out of the three of us. That's me. So that's what like I talk about a lot. And you know, before I was saying I stayed logged out the Mango Masala account. Oh my god! Imagine we did one interview about Andrew Tate when he reverted to Islam, and I'm there like talking about the misogyny of like Muslim men. It's an endemic in our community. I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Off in the comments when we posted it, everyone's just going sick at me. I'm like, but it's true. Like even across the global ummah, like in other countries, everyone looks at like UK, particularly South Asia Muslims as being like.
It's crazy. It's like it's the halal police every day. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to take a day off.
How is someone in the video that we posted? Someone's now calling me a colouring book. They're like, she can't talk about Islam. She's got makeup on. She's got her hair out. I was even covered, and they're like, oh, look at what she's wearing. People are really, really, they're really.
It is scary. It's so scary because I don't understand how. And so what if you're not covered? If you're not covered, like how? I don't know. It's this whole thing of people thinking like, they have the right to give you advice. They have the right to guide you. It's like, but you do, but you don't know me. Maybe you can do that in your circle. It is different because like we have so much access now to like people online, but this whole thing of like, I'm just trying to guide you. I'm just trying to do the best for you or whatever. But online, I don't think that should be allowed because we don't know these people. That advice should come from people in your circle, people that you know, people that can give you that message in like a loving way or whatever. And like also, if you think someone's doing something wrong, like for example, you said like you were covered anyway.
70 excuses for them. Like,
yeah, exactly.
To get that in Islam, like we are told, if you see a person in Islam committing a sin, make 70 excuses for them. Don't dogpile them. Like people very
it's just I just really don't understand it, and it's sad because it turns a lot of people away from Islam. Absolutely. And it's our own community that does that, and it's just really sad.
Absolutely, yeah. I find it really exciting though that you did create this space, because I also really, everything you said I resonated with, but especially the bit about how I think where South Asian Muslims are so militant in their religion, growing up within the community, you just get told like you're a Muslim, you get sent to mosque. You don't really get given like Islamic education. Well, I didn't anyway. I literally went to mosque, learned how to read Arabic, finished the Quran.
Don't even know what it means.
Don't know a word of what it means. Like,
yeah.
You know? And I think that every young Muslim person always has to go through this journey of like self-discovery where they learn to connect with their faith by themselves, outside of their family, outside of their culture. So I think it's sick that like you create this space that helps people kind of like, and it's a constant learning experience, isn't it? Like
constantly, yeah. And it's this thing of like, we can stop at that thing of like, okay, this is everything, all the information I've been told by my parents, my grandparents, whatever, and I can just stop there and not do any research for myself. But if I am wrong and God asks me, why did you do this? The answer of my parents taught me is just not going to be good enough, is it? Like you have to, if you are interested in that part of yourself, and if you want to take that journey, you have to be able to like learn those things for yourself. And I think that right, like, have your own. There may be a lot of things that you don't agree with, or there may be a lot of things that you interpret in a different way, and like so I just think that like it's so important to like just do the work on your own, like you would with anything.
Yeah, absolutely, especially living as like a religious or like ethno-religious minority in a country where, as you said before, people have, even when it's like benign misconceptions, like most people who are not Muslim or like don't have a proximity to Muslims will have kind of weird misconceptions about Islam, and you really have to know and be comfortable in your faith to be able to advocate for an entire religion like that to other people, right? And
I also think that I don't know if you get this a lot, but like in like places of work, people being like, oh, you're Muslim, oh, but you don't practice.
Okay, God,
like
I didn't realize I was on the pearly gate.
It just makes, but And that is just based off like what they see of like, for example, like your appearance or like just your mannerisms, or like they have obviously this idea of a woman who's supposed to be like in the garb praying 5 times a day, which, you know, hopefully we get there, but it's just, it looks so different for everybody. And I think that people just have this idea of like it has to be one way, and especially within our own community, it's like this is the only way. But then there's so many things that my family taught me that are just factually incorrect.
Yeah, 100. Like that's the thing with South Asians. It's the culture, the mix up between culture and religion. It's deep. It's so deep to this day. When my mom tells me something, I'm like, I beg mom, get me the hadith. Show me the hadith.
Yeah, show me where you found this information. Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, I watched it on Channel I, or like I watched it on like TV. I'm like, or YouTube video. I'm like,
yeah, we have to do better, and we have to like also know that like maybe the thing that I read is not the absolute thing, and like I have to like leave space open for learning. And especially like with our parents, and obviously like the generational difference, like they're very stubborn, they don't want to be, you know, they're never wrong, but there has to be space for like being wrong and like learning from something that you were doing that was wrong, or like
there's a humility that you should have when you're learning.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that as a Muslim, you have to have humility as well. Like it's just one of the things that you have to have.
I hear that. That's the thing about identity, because we talk about it on the show all the time, because obviously we are like a South Asian based show, and like we're all from different backgrounds. And the thing we talk about a lot is how like people might expect a South Asian to look like, or how they might expect a South Asian to like present their cultural identity. And it's the same thing with any identity-based demographic. The same thing with Muslims. People assume that we're a monolith, that there's only a one way to be a Muslim, only one way to perform Islam. There's not much space for anything that looks different than a woman in a hijab that prays 5 times a day. They cannot fathom that a Muslim woman has multiplicities, you know. So that's I love that that's what you're doing. How have you found kind of being in that space of, I was going to say Muslims, but obviously it's not all just Muslims, but kind of being in a space where you're very actively and openly and lovingly talking about your faith and sharing experiences and knowledge and stuff like that?
I think that at first I was actually really nervous to like do it, because I was like, I'm just me, like I don't know everything, do you know what I mean? And I'm still learning every day. And what if I put something out there that's not true? And like, then that's on me, isn't it? But then if your intention is always good, like your intention is always pure, then you just have to lead with that and kind of be like, if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. It was never from like malice or anything like that. And also I'm not there to impress any, you know, other community of people. Like it is just from like pure intention of like wanting to spread the word of like of love through Islam. Like that's all it is. I've never like experienced like any, I got one comment from some like bot account that was just like super just Islamophobic, but that was one comment.
Yeah, I mean that's the difficult, that so next question, this is what I was saying, we'll get to that in a bit. Like, how do you cope? Like, obviously being kind of like hyper visible, or, you know, having like a following, and especially talking and representing Islam, which is already a very contentious thing in like the British imagination. How I'm guessing you must be getting all kinds of weirdos. Like, how do you cope?
I actually don't. I've never really had like bad comments, like ever really. Like, no, never really. I think that if people have this idea that I have a Muslim page and then they see my normal page and they don't believe that those two things fit, I don't care, because that's the whole point, is that like there's so many people out there who are scared to be like, yeah, I am Muslim, because they feel like they're not enough, or they're going to be judged or whatever. And I just kind of want to make people feel like you can say it, and you can like be really proud to say that you are Muslim without being perfect, because we were never made to be perfect. But I've never really like had any like negative comments about that, or even like on my own personal page, like it's usually just, you know, like standard like men just being weird. That's like the extent of what I get. I don't really get like people being horrible.
Okay, that's good. Like, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky in that sense.
That's good. Yeah, I was not expecting that. Like, because we had like we had a Pakistani woman on a couple months ago, and she's a sports journalist, like a young Pakistani woman. And we had a conversation where she speaks a lot about kind of like race and identity in her sports journalism, and she covered like, you know, the Yorkshire racism cricket scandal.
Yeah.
And she was telling us like she gets like death threats, like people were literally like in her Twitter DMs, like, which is not like, obviously it was horrendous to hear, but like it's online, that's what happens. Like even with us, I genuinely I stay logged out of our account because I'm like,
yeah,
when we get nonsense comments, I'm not gonna be allowed to say what I want to say. So I just Carlos doesn't even let me look.
I think that, do you know, also a big part of this, I think for me, is why I don't get negative comments, is because like this whole activism thing and like it having to be online now, like who you are as a person and like all your thoughts and like political views, that for me stays offline, because I just absolutely do not see the point of that being online, because it's so performative and you can say whatever you want. Like it is so performative. Like people will be saying one thing and doing another, and that's fine, but then like to make other people feel small or whatever, I will do that work in my own time, and I do. And like the beliefs I have, that's my beliefs. It doesn't need to be shared with people. And I think that I was at one point speaking a lot about like Palestine online, and it's just, you just get all those bot accounts like from Israel, like just going in on you. And it's just like
traumatizing.
Yeah, and it's just like, do you know what? Like I can do this work in my own time. Like this doesn't need to be online for me. You know what I mean? And also you just, for me, it's like I'm speaking into an echo chamber. Everyone agrees with me. Like we all have the same views. So I'm not really teaching anyone anything. And also, I don't think that it's my job to teach anyone anything. Like I'm not the type of person that's like, this is my view, it has to be your view as well. Like we have to be open enough to be like, okay, maybe you do think something different and that's okay. And maybe tomorrow you're going to think something else. Like that's your own journey of like what you believe. Like you have to be able to do that research on your own, because if you're just taking it from people off the internet, you don't know where they've got their research from. Like you just, so that for me stays offline. I think that helps with like not having any negative comments, because like it's just too neutral for people. Do you know what I mean?
I hear that. No, that makes a lot of sense, to be fair. And like I think it is fair enough to decide that, you know what, this is what my brand is, and this is kind of where, in a way, it's kind of like I wouldn't necessarily go into the office and start raving about what a commie I am. Same way you wouldn't go into Instagram where you make your money, which is your 9-to-5 job, and start raving about XYZ political issue. You know, like it is, we are taught kind of, and it is, I guess, for good reason, to keep your work life and your politics life a little bit
separate. And also for me, like all those things are personal, like my political beliefs, like, you know, all those, that's a very personal side to me. It's not something that I'm just going to share at my place of work.
I can imagine, like, as a content creator, it's really like you have to be very, very careful about how personal you allow people to get, like, because it's your life, right? Like it's you can't just kind of switch off the internet. I can say to a worker and then like I might be able to leave jobs or whatever, but you've really got a digital footprint. You can't.
Yeah, it's so true. I think that for me as well, like I'm just a firm believer in like cancel culture is so stupid. I think that my belief is that like you can say one thing one day and it might be a terrible thing.
Right.
And then you should be able to the next day or 6 months time or however long it takes you to be able to like learn from what you did in your own time and in your own space without people having to force that on you. Like, why are we throwing stones when we all live in glass houses? Like, it doesn't make sense. There's so many terrible things that I probably used to say when I was younger that I had no idea. And then you grow up and like to also like make ourselves like belittle ourselves to think that like we as a society we're not growing and moving forward, because 10 years ago it's not what we are now. So like to have the same expectations of someone 10 years ago is just ridiculous.
And I mean, divine commandment as well, isn't it? Compassion and like grace. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
for me, it's what I struggle with it. I really struggle with it. I'm very kind of like, sometimes I'm a bit too principled, sometimes I'm a bit too black and white. Like,
yeah, it is hard because like obviously some people out there say like crazy stuff, but it's just like also it's the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like we need to all stop being so chronically online about like our personal stuff and like understand that if someone says something and it's terrible, you are allowed to unfollow that person. You are allowed to like delete them from your online presence. They don't have to exist anymore for you. But the more you keep bringing up that stuff and that you're just involving them in your life more, so it just doesn't really make sense. But I guess everyone is different. Like I don't really keep up with like who's saying what in a way of like that it really affects my personal life in that way, because I just think that you know, I'm getting too old.
That's what honestly, that's what I just resolved to do in the end. I was like, eyes shut, don't care, I'm not involved, don't chat to me. Stay over there with your ludicrous.
Yeah, say what you want. Say what you want. Do what you want. That's your life.
That's why genuinely I stay logged out of that account now, because I'm like, I know people are saying mad stuff. I just don't want to see it, because when I see it, then it's my problem. You know?
Yeah, and then like you react out of like
you have anger. To deal with it. Exactly. Yeah. If I don't see it don't exist, outside, out of mind. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad to hear though that you're not getting vile vitriolic abuse. That is.
I mean, it could change after this. We just don't know.
I really hope not. I really hope not.
Hopefully it won't.
It won't. Okay, so just to round things off, I have a few more questions. Firstly, what advice would you give to people, particularly people from like similar backgrounds to you, women of color, Muslim women, like, and they want to kind of break into those spaces? What advice would you give?
I would say do it, and like don't think about it, just do it. Like believe in yourself. Like there's no reason why people wouldn't be able to resonate with you. Like there's always something in someone that is relatable to someone else. Like you don't know how much it could help you and also help other people. Like don't feel like, I don't know, I feel like just if it's something that you're going to enjoy doing, literally just take the first step to do it. Also be able to like have that separation of internet and real life. Because I feel like when I first started TikTok, it was very difficult because like people are horrible on
TikTok. Is that's the mad place. Yeah. That's what I was talking about. It's a crazy.
It is.
I'm mad.
And it's kids. It's like 11-year-old boys.
Genuinely.
But if you want to be able to like start creating content or whatever, just be able to separate internet from real life, because it just makes things so much easier. And just see it as a job, or see it as like a form of like expressing yourself. Like, yeah, don't take it like too seriously. Just do what you love and like what moves you.
Yeah. There's this one YouTuber she's called Shoshana Rose. She's like from Toronto. I don't know if you've ever watched her. She was speaking on one of her vlogs about how she kind of was a little bit feeling down about how competitive content creation is, and then she was like, what really helped her was thinking from a mindset of like abundance rather than a mindset of scarcity. Like if you think there's like the amount of money in the world, the amount of resources in the world, the amount of opportunities in the world is not going to run out. Like the world is not, well, as far as we know, not ending tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like she was kind of saying like for people who want to break into this and do this, like think from there, like there's an opportunity out there for you, you know?
Yeah, and just remembering that like you are like nobody else. So that's already like such a great starting point. Like you're so unique that everything that you put out is going to be different to anyone else, no matter how many people are in the field. So like just do it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, so final question, just to round things off. What's your plan? Like, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to be? How are you trying to grow?
Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're going to make money. We're going to have a really successful next few years making content, building partnerships with brands, with people. And then Maz is going to have her own studio. She's going to learn how to design and build furniture. That's what she's going to grow old doing. That's going to be her project. Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Cool. That's a bit rogue, like a furniture design.
Yeah, but that's like the passion. That's the dream, you know.
Oh my God, inshallah.
Yeah,
inshallah you'll get it.
Inshallah, will happen.
Like we said, there's absolutely no reason why you would not, and there's
absolutely no reason why we would,
and a million reasons why you would. So
a million reasons.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and also hit 10 million YouTube subscribers, which will happen.
I back that. And to start it off, for those who are listening, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, so every social media handle is Maz Ullah, except for TikTok, that's MMAZULLAH. But you should watch my YouTube, because I know that you will love it. You will love it so much.
I'll vouch for that. I will vouch for that. I love your YouTube.
You will love it so much. You will love it so much, and we'll become friends. I'll be like your internet friend, and every time you're feeling sad, you can watch me and you'll love it. I genuinely would vouch for that. Thank you.
Is there any final words? Anything else you want to share with the people out there? Anything you want to impart on them?
Never give up on your dreams, because they're always possible, and always be happy, because being happy is so amazing. It's okay to be sad though. You can be sad, but always try to be happy and see the positives in life, because life is amazing.
We should really take heed of that. We come on the show every single week and we just that's what we do.